everyone, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be rating and reviewing all of Riley Sager's books. So these are all of Riley Sager's books that he has so far. He does have a book coming next year called The House Across from the Lake. The House Across on the Lake. The House Across the Lake he has coming next year on June 21st, 2022 is its publication date. And so for now I'm just going to talk about these ones because obviously I haven't read the other one yet. So I'm going to talk about them in the order in which I read them. So the first book I read was his newest release, which is Survive the Night. And this book was definitely the book that got me hooked on his writing. I really enjoyed his writing, so it made me want to pick up all of his books. This book follows a girl named Charlie, and she's going home for the holidays. So she reaches out to a ride service through the university, and this guy named Josh says that he's going to go the same way as her and that he would give her a ride. And the reason why she is going home for the holidays, it's actually 10 days before Thanksgiving break, but she's packed up her dorm and she's going home early because her college roommate was murdered, and she believes that it was her fault because they were out together and she left her and then her roommate never came home. And her roommate's name was Maddie, and Maddie ended up being murdered. And Maddie was the third girl over a 4-year span to be murdered, so they've been calling the murderer the campus killer. And they believe Maddie was murdered by the campus killer because of the way the previous 2 girls were murdered. She was murdered the same way. And so Charlie feels guilty and wants a break from college, so she ends up finding a ride with Josh, but while in the car with him, she feels like he could be the campus killer. And it's just a really good book. It takes place over a span of a little bit longer than 24 hours, so I thought that was really cool. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. And the last chapter that's in italics was honestly so cute, and the whole reason why I just loved this book so much and why I felt so strongly that this book was 5 stars for me. So yes, I did rate this book 5 stars. The next book I read was Final Girls, and I think the reason why I was a little bit hesitant to read this book was because I read this book the same month that I read Grady Hendrix' The Final Girl Support Group, and I just wasn't a fan of that one. So the thought of this being pretty much the same premise as Grady Hendrix, I was a little bit nervous, but this book was definitely better. This book follows Final Girls, obviously, which is basically a term used for them surviving like a tragic event where everyone died except for them. And it's Quincy who's the main character, which by the way I love that name. It also follows Lisa and Sam. So it's Quincy who's the main character, Lisa and Sam. Lisa was murdered, and Quincy believes that whoever murdered Lisa is coming for her as well, because it states in the beginning of the book that the autopsy was inconclusive on if it was a suicide or a murder. So when it comes back inconclusive, Quincy gets a little nervous that it could have been a murder and that she believes her and Sam are next. And it's a really good storyline. I did enjoy this book. I did give this one 4 stars. The next book that I read was The Last Time I Lied, and this one was so good. This book follows Emma, and 15 years ago she went to a camp called Camp Nightingale, and her 3 roommates went missing. And so because of that, they were never found. Because of that, the camp got shut down. Well, it's been 15 years now, and they decide to reopen the camp, and they've asked Emma to come back as a camp counselor. And so they ask her what room she wants to stay in, and she suggests the Dogwood cabin, which is the cabin that she stayed in 15 years prior, where her 3 roommates went missing. And it's just a really good storyline, because then the 3 girls, because she's a camp counselor, so the 3 girls that she rooms with are camp members, and they end up going missing. And it's just a fantastic book. I gave this one 5 stars as well. The next book was Lock Every Door, and this one was good. This book takes place in New York at a building or apartment building called the Bartholomew, and this book pretty much follows a girl who is not very financially set. She doesn't have a stable job. She doesn't have a stable place to live. So she ends up room sitting for this, I guess she ends up house sitting one of the apartments in the Bartholomew, which is an apartment building where very prestigious people live. Jules, that's the girl that ends up house sitting one of the apartments, she just thinks that there's weird shit going on in the apartment, and so she does a little bit of research, and that's pretty much what it is. I don't want to give too much away on it, but the premise was good. It just wasn't one of my favorite Riley Sagers, so I gave this one 4 stars, which is still a good rating. It just wasn't as good as his other book. And then the last one was Home Before Dark. This book was another 5 stars for me. This follows Maggie, and if you're really into like paranormal haunted house type books, definitely give this one a try. This book follows Maggie, obviously, and her family, and they moved into this house. I can't remember how old she was. I don't remember how old she was, but it takes place back when she was a child, and then 25 years in the future, or present, I guess. And basically they lived in this house growing up called the House of Horrors, and one night something really weird happens, and they all just pack up what they have, so the clothes on their back, anything that they can grab with their 2 hands, and they leave and they don't come back. And now it's been 25 years and Maggie returns. I can't remember why she returns, but she returns for some reason. Oh, her father dies, and part of his will was giving the house to Maggie, but Maggie always thought that he sold the house. So she goes back to the house to try to figure out what the hell happened 25 years ago. And it's a really good book. Again, Riley Sager's writing is phenomenal. And this book is compared to the Amityville Horror, which is really good. So I gave this one 5 stars. So now I'm going to rank them favorite to least favorite, but even if it's my least favorite, I still very much enjoyed it, obviously, because I've rated all of his books either 5 or 4 stars. So my least favorite Riley Sager was Final Girls. I just feel like the story was good, the premise was good, but based off of his other books, it's not my favorite. My second to last is Lock Every Door. Like I said, this one's good. I just feel like, again, his other books were better in my opinion. I do know a lot of people that liked this one, and I also know a lot of people that put this one as their least favorite. So it just really all depends on what you're into and what storylines you like. My middle choice is Survive the Night. This one was good. I did enjoy this one. Like I said, I gave it 5 stars. I felt like there was another one that takes the cake. Okay, these are the last 2 books, and my second favorite was Home Before Dark, and my favorite Riley Sager is The Last Time I Lied. This one, I don't know, it's just so good. I added it to my favorite reads in 2021 shelf on Goodreads because this one was just so good. If you have not read any Riley Sager books, you don't know where to start with this one. Or if you've read Riley Sager but you haven't read this one, I definitely recommend reading this one because this one was so good. So that was all of Riley Sager's books ranked and reviewed by me. Please know that this is my personal opinion. Please let me know in the comments what order you would rank his books. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notifications to be notified every time I upload. And please give this video a thumbs up. And thank you so much for watching. Okay, bye.